Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of my Cedar Point Recreation Park. In the last episode, we continued to work on our marina by adding a bunch of boats. Today we got some more work to do on the marina. Lots of stuff over here on the south coast of the peninsula that needs to be done. The last large area of the park, as I mentioned before. And quite a significant amount of work to do back here, as I keep saying. Recently, I mentioned that I thought I was done with making large buildings. Turns out I was very wrong. There are several large buildings back here that I just completely forgot about. As I've mentioned before, this is not an area of the park I'm very familiar with. Haven't really been back here for any reason personally. So I don't have a lot of first-hand experience with this area, but I am doing my best. First thing we have over here, as far as I can tell, is the Bay Harbor restaurant. Pretty large building. I'm not sure what other facilities are over here. There's what looks to be another restroom and a swimming pool. Lots of stuff going on here. I can only guess as to some of the functionality because I don't bother to do my research, apparently. It is a pretty weird building shape, though. Some circular roofing over here, which is pretty hard to do in RCT, of course. Doing our best with some weird diagonal walls and things. All things considered, though, this is a pretty nice area of the map. Lot of foliage and path over here that looks pretty nice, and it's good to get these paths connected to the docks that we built in the last episode as well. By the way, in recent news, I was pretty excited to learn when I booted up Google Maps today to help with my build that they have finally updated their aerial imagery of Cedar Point. So we've got a whole lot of new photos taken sometime in the year 2022, not sure exactly when. But you can tell because the farmhouse is there, Wicked Twister is gone, etc. Matches my experience with the park this year. So would have been nice to have that a while ago when we were building the majority of the park. But it's still good to have it here now to compare against when building the last few bits we have here. It does look like the big set of docks that was the southmost group that we built last in the boats episode is now gone. It's kind of sucky when that happens, you know. You spend a lot of time working on something and then you realize that it's no longer there. But I probably am just going to leave it there anyway, because if I tear it out, then we're just going to have a big empty spot, so it's going to look kind of awkward either way. Obviously, I'm not too worried about having some anachronisms in my build, though, because we still have Wicked Twister in there, for example. Anyway, yeah, so now we have Bay Harbor in here and some parking lots to connect it to the marina area that we've built before. So this area is starting to look pretty fleshed out. It still needs a lot of little details, as I always say. I haven't added any cars here yet. I am spending a little bit of time off camera doing some more detailing work, adding in some cars to parking lots. So that stuff is all happening, but it's very tedious and I don't want to waste my on-camera time building that, rather show you something new and interesting. Which I suppose brings us to the last new and interesting thing that we have to build in the entire map, I'm pretty sure, which is the last bit of buildings over here on the coast. Just some admin stuff over here. The pet check building, some maintenance buildings. Again, I'm not 100% sure what all of this stuff is, as I have never had any reason to go back there. But fortunately, the new Google Maps aerial footage gives us some pretty good views of what's going on. It also doesn't look like it's changed much since the street view photos were taken in 2011 anyway, which is pretty nice. But we've got more big parking lots here as well. And then our final few buildings. As I mentioned, the pet check building, what looks like a little picnic pavilion behind it. Another bathroom, and then our large maintenance shed. Could definitely spend a lot of time detailing this if I wanted to, adding in a whole bunch of stuff, little bits and pieces to represent all the different things that they could be working on in the maintenance shed. I did try to get some detailing in here. But again, don't want to spend too much time working on this today. Want to make sure to get the basics down first. One thing I have been struggling with a lot here, as you'll see towards the end of the episode, is dealing with the terrain and the height of all the surface. I think I talked about this in the first Marina episode, but the difference in elevation between the normal surface and the water level is actually not that much. But unfortunately, in my build here, it's a few units higher than it should be, which makes it pretty awkward to get from surface level to lake level. And it's especially apparent over here where we have this final parking lot, which is right up against the water line, and these final docks that have a really obvious downward step into the water. Doesn't look great. I'm trying to think of some different ways to fix this problem. I mean, right now we've got just some really gradual slopes down to the water, which is not really very realistic. So still thinking about if it's possible to just raise the water level everywhere. As long as we don't have any weird ramifications with the other side of the map, hopefully it won't be a big deal. But something I'll have to play around with a bit more and see how it goes. But I think that's kind of all there is to it for our builds for today. Just more parking lots to go, as I mentioned. Now that we have this area laid down, there's obviously still a lot of detailing to do over here, which I will be doing. But I think there is still one final area left to do, which is the parking lot behind Gemini as our last real big area. And that's just a parking lot, so nothing too exciting back there. So no real major interesting areas of the park left to do as far as our first draft builds. That doesn't mean this is the last episode, of course. I do plan on putting out some more, but as of right now, I'm not totally sure what form they're going to take. I have really been enjoying doing some of the detailing work off camera. There's a little bit of the pressure off and I can kind of go at my own pace without having to worry about recording everything. So that's been nice. But of course, I do want to make sure that everyone's kept in the loop on the developments as they come. But we are getting pretty close to the end here, so not a whole lot of work left to do. Aside from, like I keep saying, the detailing work. Adding in some more cars here for our parking lots, things like that. But I think that's going to do it for as far as today's build. As always, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you've got any comments, questions, or suggestions, please let me know. Thanks for watching.